So now we've moved out into the country, it was apparent quite quickly really that we needed a second car. So we were trying to think, well, what do we get? Now we test drove a Renault Zoe, which is a great car, but it wasn't for my wife because it has no regenerative braking. It has it, but not very much. So the best other option is a Nissan LEAF. And we used to have a Nissan LEAF a long time ago, well, several years ago before the e-Nero. But we thought we would get another one. So I spoke to Eco Cars, Jonathan Porterfield of Eco Cars, and we got one in auction, and it's being delivered right now. So here I am in the LEAF studio, and it's funny, I was thinking that I didn't do very many videos in the LEAF because I had the LEAF before the e-Nero, and so it's just wonderful to be back in here. It feels so nice and spacious. It's just such a lovely car. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit and just explain why we got the LEAF, and I'll talk about the process, how we got it, how much money we saved compared to getting it privately or even from a dealer, and all that sort of stuff. As you may know, if you watched our previous video, we've moved house. We're now about 5 miles away from the city of Canterbury. So because we've moved out, we needed a second car because there were too many occasions where we might use the other car for dropping Aurelia off at school and all that sort of stuff, and Flaviana has to go to work and everything. So we needed a second car, and we were thinking about this, and we were thinking we could lease one, and that would be fine and everything, and we could put it through the business, so it's not like it's not going to cost us much really. But we're just thinking it's actually quite nice just to own a car. You don't have to worry too much about it being scratched. This is a second-hand car, I should say. You don't have to worry about it being scratched too much. You can just throw stuff in the back if you need to go to the tip or anything. So that was the reason we wanted a second car. Now, the choices were the Zoe, the LEAF, and someone on Twitter actually mentioned this, and it was quite a good idea, an old Kia Soul. And I don't remember why we dismissed that, but we did. I don't know. Flaviana just decided a LEAF anyway, because we test drove the Zoe, and it wasn't for us. There's something a bit more, I would say, a bit more luxurious about the luxurious is the wrong word. A bit more premium. I don't know. There's just something a bit nicer about the LEAF, I think, than the Zoe. The Zoe feels a bit more bare bones, and that's fine, and it's a great car and everything, but just the LEAF is a bit more refined. Refined is the word I was looking for. LEAF is a bit more refined, or at least we feel so. We feel it is. So that's the reason, or that's one of the reasons. Also, the Zoe, we felt when we drove the Zoe, or Flaviana felt that the regen wasn't enough, and so she wanted a bit more. There wasn't even an option in the Zoe that we test drove. There wasn't an option to make more regen. In the LEAF, you've got D for drive, and you've got B for braking, for regen, sort of a regen mode, which increases the regen a bit. And for those that don't know, because you might be watching this and thinking, well, I want to get a second-hand car, and you might be thinking about a LEAF. Regen braking, or regenerative braking, is when you slow down, instead of having to use the brake pedal as you would in a normal car, or just coasting to a stop, an electric car will put that energy back into the battery. So it will slow down itself, putting that back into the battery and then recharging your battery. So it's a very efficient way of driving around town. Anyway, so all electric cars have it to some extent. The Zoe just doesn't seem to have it quite as much as the LEAF, although we've now been driving this a couple of times, and actually this isn't as much as we remember it being. So it's a funny old thing, isn't it? The Kia had much, much heavier regen, and we love regen. The more the better. The BMW i3 has like crazy amounts. I mean, it's almost one pedal driving really. So anyway, so that was one of the reasons, and just the fact that you get a lot more space in the LEAF. It feels like a much more practical family car, big boot and everything. So that's why the LEAF, and the fact that we'd had one before and we loved it. So we decided we wanted to get a second-hand LEAF. I looked on various websites. There are a few in England, like Auto Trader There's one called Kazoo now as well, which is being advertised a lot, and they do free delivery and things like that, so that's quite good. And there's a few anyway. But I wanted to go through my friend Jonathan at Eco Cars. I say my friend, but actually we've never met, but that's just the way it is with all of these electric car people. We're all quite a close-knit bunch, I think, even though most of us haven't met. He's all the way up in Orkney, which is about as far north as you can possibly go. I've chatted to him a few times in the past, just although not on phone or anything, but on Twitter. He gave me a charge card for when I did my big journey up to Scotland, up to John O'Groats. He lent me his charge card, which I was massively grateful for, even though I didn't use it in the end. So one of the nicest guys on earth. So I decided I wanted to go through him. Now what he does is he does have some cars actually kind of in stock really to sell, but bearing in mind they're all the way up in Orkney, that's only really relevant really if you're in Orkney. But what he does do is he'll organise auctions. Well, not organise. He'll bid for you at an auction. So that's what we decided to do. Now auctions are fantastic. It's a great way of getting a really, really cheap car. What you don't have, of course, is a warranty of any sort, and well, unless a car is new enough to still have the manufacturer warranty, of course. At our price range, we knew that wouldn't be the case. But it is a bit riskier, I suppose. You don't know what you're going to get. What you do get from an auction is a status report, and let me just find. Here we go. You get a status report like this, and it's actually pretty detailed. It tells you all the normal stuff like mileage and all that kind of thing. Tells you what kind of keys it's got. Tells you the status of the wheels. Whether it's got the locking wheel nut. This one actually doesn't, so they got that wrong. And I probably wouldn't have noticed that. Okay, this is the other thing. So it was picked up by a friend of Jonathan's called Alex, and he travels all over the country delivering cars. And he thoroughly checks everything at the auction house. So before he even drives off, he checks everything. And he noticed that the locking wheel nut was missing, even though it said it was there on the sheet.
There's no locking wheel nut key. We spent about a good 45 minutes there trying to find it.
I would never have noticed that. So if we drove off and had a puncture, we'd be pretty screwed. So as I said, Jonathan, the auction house, they're going to sort that out, and I've just got to go to Nissan and get a new one. Shoreham are going to reimburse Jonathan or reimburse me, so that's going to be fine. It tells you the interior condition and any comments. So on here, it's got comments at the bottom. Type 2 and 3-pin charging cable, so that's really good. So it's got your normal, what we call a granny charger for charging on a 3-pin plug, and it's also got a normal charging lead for an AC charger, like the one you would have at home on if you have a wall box. It also says OSF door needs realigning, and that's true. It does. It makes a real clunk. So that's something that needs sorting out. Other than that, it's mainly just scratches and things like that. So now we could have gone to an auction ourselves. That's absolutely true. We could have, but Jonathan has a deal with Shoreham Vehicle Auctions, and I think others as well, where he gets a reduced rate. And then on top of that, Jonathan is on every single sale. He charges £360. That's a set fee. And he's very upfront about it. There's no hidden costs or anything like that. That's what you pay Jonathan. And you might be thinking, why am I paying an extra £360? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because you're getting knowledge that other people, other dealers or whatever, they might not know. So Jonathan is a wealth of knowledge. I don't know. I mean, we've had a Leaf, so I know a bit about them, but he knows about the different years, what's good, what you've got to look out for, all that sort of stuff. So when I spoke to him, well, first of all, we said we have a budget of £10,000, which we subsequently reduced, actually. We have a budget of £10,000. Really, we would like a 6.6 kilowatt onboard charger. That means that it will charge at 6.6 kilowatts at home. Ideally, we wanted that we've subsequently got a 3.3 kilowatt because 6.6 are more expensive, and we just decided to save a bit of money. Because it's a second car, and we're always going to have it plugged in anyway to the Zappy, probably. We're not too worried. We're not too worried about that. The charge speed doesn't bother us too much, and you can still rapid charge up to 50 kilowatts anyway. So we told him we had a 10,000 budget, and we wanted a blue one, specifically blue, so that you can get black, grey, silver, or whatever, white, blue, metallic red, cherry red. I think I've got all of the colours there. And my wife didn't want anything other than blue. We used to have a white one, but she decided she wanted blue. It was so difficult to try and find blues that even the chap Alex that delivered it said you don't find many blue ones. So yeah, my wife did then decide, oh, maybe we'll just get a white one as well. But luckily we got a blue one in the end. But anyway, so the knowledge that Jonathan has, for instance, he said avoid a 62 plate. So the registration plate on this one's a 15. He said avoid a 62. Old heater and battery tech. So they're just not as good as other Leafs. No idea why, but that's the kind of thing that you get from talking to someone like Jonathan, someone who actually, sells these things all the time. He also said, although he looked over it and said everything seems fine, obviously this door thing is a bit of a worry, but I think that's relatively easy to fix. He said one issue that we might have is the PTC heater might fail. And you can tell if that's the case if when you get the car, you turn on the heater and no cold air comes out. I think that's the way, what it was. No cold air. Might be no hot air. I don't remember. Anyway, so the first thing I did when I got this was I tested that, and actually it's fine. Both hot and cold, so that works fine. But that's something that was a little bit kind of, oh God, that could be a bit dodgy. You could end up getting the car, and then he was saying that's like a £2,000 repair job by Nissan to do that, because they have to remove the whole of the dash or something like that. Although he did say that someone called Glyn Hudson, who I also know is brilliant, watch his videos, he's fantastic, he was able to replace it without removing the dashboard, but I've not looked at the video yet. Anyway, so I thought, well, okay, if worst case scenario, if that is the case, at least it's not necessarily a £2,000 repair job. We would find someone that could do it cheaper. I wouldn't be able to do it myself because I'm not good at fixing cars. Well, I've never tried, to be honest, but I'm probably not very good at it. There's a brake disc front. There's advisory, on the brake disc at the front, which is quite common because actually they don't use their brakes very much. Because of this regenerative braking, you don't end up braking very much. Very common, I think, with probably all electric cars. I think Teslas also suffer from that. So that's something we're going to have to look at, probably, but I don't believe that's a very expensive job, and we'll probably just get that done when the service is due and when the MOT is due. So what eco cars do is they save money. Anyway, that's my note here. They save money. Here's a really good example. Okay, someone just got an e-Niro. Someone went through him to get an e-Niro, and it was an e-Niro 4 trim, which is one of the more recent ones. So it's very new. It was an ex-lease one. The lease had been cancelled. It only had a couple of thousand miles on the clock, I think it was. And he got it from auction for £30,793, which is insanely good. That's a massive saving. If you were to go new and get an e-Niro now, what is it, 35,000 for 36,000 or something like that for that trim. So that's really good, and that's the benefit of going through auction, and the benefit of having someone like Jonathan who actually has knowledge about all these things and knows what to look out for, and is friendly with the auction house as well. For instance, the auction house actually cleaned the car and charged it up to 100%, which is really nice of them, because they wouldn't normally do that. So yeah, the process with Jonathan has been fantastic, and any time I chatted to him, it was always a pleasure. So that's the process. If you want to choose a car, you can choose a car yourself, actually, which is what we did in the end. So he told me about one of the auction houses that's closest to us, and I went on there and I was just checking every day or so, although Jonathan would have probably done this for me actually if I'd asked, but I was checking all the time And then this one popped up and I thought, well, that looks quite good, and then gave Jonathan the link and he gave me the info. So that's the way it worked. I could have just said, Jonathan, can you just find me a car? Here's a budget. But as it is, we were quite impatient, and I was checking all the time. And we changed our specification anyway, because I told him we were looking for a 6.6 kilowatt. And I think I probably said Tecna trim as well, which is the higher trim. So we kind of settled for a lower trim and a lower speed onboard charger. This is a LEAF 3.3 kilowatts onboard charger. It's the Accenta trim. I think it's pronounced Accenta. It might be Accenta. If I wanted to do it in an Italian way, it'd be Accenta. And Tecna is the top one. Visia is the bottom one. Also, I did notice when I was clicking around and stuff, sometimes you get a battery lease with a LEAF, but it's quite rare. But I think that's just on the lower spec Visia ones. And so that's just something to look out for, because you probably don't really want a battery lease, you want to own the battery. So altogether, it came to £5,266.40. That's including Jonathan's fees. So the auction process is really exciting. You get, I screen shared with Jonathan at the time, and this is what happened. Oh, so this is us, is it?
Yeah.
396 is the Nissan LEAF, the Accenta 3.3, 15, 59,000 miles.
Quite long, remind me.
£3,500 to start me.
Oh, yes, we'll have a bit of that.
35, 36, 37, 38, 38, 39, 39. 4 online, 41, 41, 42, 43, 43, 45 is with me. 45 is with me in sold. 46 I'm out. 46 I'm out. 46 I am setting up. 46 once. 7. 47. 47. 47
This could be
once.
yours.
50's of a help.
Oh,
47 once, twice, third and last. 47.
hey, we got it for
We got it.
4,700.
Darling, we got it.
That's how it works.
Fantastic. So 4,700 plus the fees. I'll tell you in a minute.
Happy wife, happy life.
Exactly. As you can see, I was very happy about it, as was Flaviana in the other room. So anyway, yeah, so we got that, including the fees, £5,266.40, and then it was £220 delivery for Alex to take her from the auction house to here. As I said, he did find the locking wheel nut thing, so that's really good, and he checked it over, and he's a lovely guy. It was more expensive than I was expecting, that delivery fee. I was thinking it was going to be more like 150 or something, because we're only 100 miles away from there. But it also saved me a day, really, of travel. And, you know, it would have been false economy for me to probably do that myself, because I'm very busy with work at the moment. So that's all fine. And I would say we've still got a bargain, because I looked on Auto Trader earlier, and the same year, same specification, would be 7,000, or at the moment is about 7,250. So we've saved about just under £2,000, which is great. It's a bargain. I mean, hopefully when I drive off, you know, something doesn't fall off, but so far it seems great. And the big thing is this has 12 battery bars. So that's one of the other things you want to look for when you're looking for a LEAF. They are quite old. They've been around so long now. Some of them do degrade. The batteries do degrade. I mean, they will in any electric car, let's be honest, but these ones have been around for so long, and it's a bit older battery technology and things like that, so they do degrade a bit, especially the really early Japanese ones. I think if you get a cream interior, then I believe that's the Japanese version. After that, they were made in the UK, in Sunderland, but the really early ones were Japanese. And yeah, some of them, the batteries degrade quite badly. Not necessarily a bad thing, because you can actually get someone like my friend Matt at Cleveland EV to put in a new battery, and then you can upgrade it quite a lot, which is quite good. In fact, I'll link to the video on Fully Charged. You can see it was on there. So what else was there to say? Oh, the SD card was included as well, so that's something else that's important, because apparently that can be quite expensive. The SD card, I believe, has the map on it. Oh, another good thing, of course, is that you can get an app for the LEAF, and you can remotely precondition the heating or the air conditioning, which is really good. because I didn't have that in my e-Nero, because I had like the earliest model of e-Nero and that didn't have the app, so I did miss that. So that's going to be great actually to have that again, especially on days where we're doing like the early morning school run and things like that. So just go to the app, press the button, wait a long time. You have to wait a long time for the thing to work, but it does work. So what issues have there been? I got the car, the first thing I noticed obviously was the door going clunk. Hopefully that can be sorted. If not, it's not like a major issue or anything. I did do a walk around, and it does have a few scratches here and there, but then that was written on the condition report. You get a printout of all of the beauty shots, as they call them, and photos of the damage as well, because there's obviously a few scratches and things like that on the alloy and things. So I'm just going to go around and look at that, but so far everything looks fine. In fact, everything looks better than the pictures. It says there's a dent in the bonnet. It's just there. It needs a proper clean, but it's not too bad for a car that's over 5 years old. The alloys are a bit tatty there, but it's fine. But it's not too bad for a 5-year-old car. Now this is one of the ones with the solar panel on the spoiler there, which doesn't do very much really other than trickle charge the 12-volt battery. And given the amount of hassle I have with 12-volt batteries, I'm quite happy about that. I don't know how much difference it makes. This is the Ascenta, which has cloth interior, but this is actually it's made out of recycled bottles or something like that. So it's actually quite easy to clean, according to Jonathan from Eco Cars. So that's good to know, because my previous was Tecna and that was leather. So this was not only cheap to buy, bearing in mind we've got solar panels as well. It's free to run as well. So I don't think we're probably never actually going to have to pay any money for this unless we take it on long journeys, which is unlikely anyway. I don't really fancy doing long journeys in the Leaf again, although if you do and you have to rely on the UK charging network on the motorways, it's not actually too bad, because the Leaf uses a connector called CHAdeMO, and CHAdeMO actually is pretty reliable, more so than CCS. So if you're going to ecotricity chargers, which usually I would avoid in the Leaf, I'd actually be quite happy to plug in with this. So what would I say about the Leaf then? It's it's the funny thing. I said it to Jonathan when we got this, and I just said it to my wife as well. I'm happier driving this than I am the DS3 Crossback E-Tense that we've got sat on it. I hate even saying the name, and some things really wind me up about that car, and I've still got to do a video about it. Yeah, I enjoy getting in this car more, and even though I haven't driven it very much, I'm going to take it for a drive in a minute. I just prefer this car to that very expensive new, badly spec'd, ugly interiored monstrosity there that I'm looking at right now. I'd rather sit in here. Anyway, and we've got a perfectly functioning 99-mile range. Best condition. So it says 99 miles. This was charged up to 100, as I said, and it said 99 miles on it. Yeah, realistically, that's not going to happen, is it? It was 99 when we got it. It's now saying 73 on the GOM, the gasometer, the range meter. And that's after Flaviana going into Canterbury and back again, which is, I think, a 10-mile trip. So don't rely on the range for any electric car, but let alone this one. But it's a wonderful car. It's a cloth interior. The previous we had was a Tecna. In fact, let me talk about the difference in specs, because I did ask Jonathan. And this is what he said. Okay, so as I said, you've got the Visia spec, Ascenta, and then Tecna. We used to have a Tecna. What Tecna has is 360-degree camera. So when you go into reverse, then it looks like a bird's eye view, which is it's actually very cool, and it's a shame not to have it on here, but it's fine. You get lower profile wheels and fancy alloys, Tecna alloys. Bose sound, you get a subwoofer in the boot, although bad thing about the subwoofer in the boot was although the sound quality is fantastic, it does take up a bit of space in the Tecna. So we've actually got more space in the boot of this one. You get leather heated seats, and you get a heated steering wheel. That's actually one thing I will miss, because the heated steering wheel is brilliant in any car. Everything else is much the same, he said. The Vizia spec lacked alloys, a rear camera, a different type of cloth seats, and some early Vizia had no CHAdeMO, so no rapid charging. You must get rapid charging. And any electric car, there shouldn't be an option not to have rapid charging, okay? And Vizia didn't have a heat pump, and heat pump is really good for efficiency, so especially if you're on a long journey, it improves efficiency. So the Ascenta spec, I would say, is a really good one. Perhaps avoid Vizia, although you'll still get a good car, a good runaround car, a good second car, I should say. And the Tecna, it's just a bit fancier. It felt much the same as the Kia, really. When we got Kia, going from the Tecna Leaf to the Kia didn't feel very much different. In fact, to be honest, I still preferred the Leaf interior to the Kias, I think. I really like the layout of the buttons. It's really well thought out. Another thing about that DS3 crap is that the buttons on the inside are awful compared to the Leaf, which is so clear. And I'm going to have a hell of a rant about that DS. So that's enough of me prattling on, I think. If you do have any questions about it, then do let me know. This car is not going to cost us probably anything at all. I think even if we were to sell it in like a year's time or something, I don't even think we'd lose any money on it. And as I say, we're just running it around for free with the solar panels. So we've been very fortunate to see this, but this isn't uncommon to find a Leaf, I think, at this price from auction. So talk to Jonathan if you want a second car. Talk to Jonathan. I massively recommend the Leaf because it's such a brilliant car, and I think you would love it. And when people say that, they say EVs are expensive, well, yeah, they are expensive. New ones are expensive, although they're extremely cheap to run. So you've always got to look at the total cost of ownership, right? They're cheap to run, and they don't depreciate generally very much. But yeah, a second-hand Leaf I think is a great bet, and they're very reliable as well. All EVs are reliable. Remember that as well. You don't have a fan belt. You don't have all this kind of fluids and things like that going on, and oil changes that you have to worry about. They're simple. They're much simpler machines, and they, in theory, they should last longer. So check out the bars of the battery. Try and get a 12-bar one if you can. Even if it's less, it doesn't matter too much. It just means you should get it for a bit cheaper. Talk to Jonathan because he's brilliant. And yeah, I would highly recommend getting yourself a Leaf. And we're so happy to have it in the family again, having another Leaf. What do you think, Precious?
I like it.
You like it? Do you like the colour? Is it nice having foliar back?
Yeah.
So thank you very much for watching. And if you do have any questions, do let me know. And please press subscribe and press the bell icon to be notified of other videos I do. And I've got a lot I've got to edit. All right, thanks so much for watching, and I'll speak to you very soon. Bye for now.